So I'm going to go back up a level and let's check and see what the real situation is. Now, that's inside of the family share area. Let me go back up a level, go back into my Apple ID and say, here's the subscriptions area. And so now we actually see a list of what we're subscribed to and the dollar amounts attached. Do I want to share with my family? Do I want to see renewal receipts? All those sorts of things. Okay, so this is where we need to know where to go to see specifically what is Apple responsible for, what subscriptions are coming off of my credit card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm wondering too, can you segregate any of this? Like, can you see what your subscriptions are that are not shared with family as opposed to ones that are shared with family?
We did that just a minute ago when I was back up a level, up two
But
levels, and I went into family,
with the dollar amounts and everything?
not here. This will tell what subscriptions I'm sharing with the family.
Gotcha.
And who is it shared by? Shared by me, shared by me,
Hmm.
right? Shared by you per se. I can come here and say manage subscriptions, and then it's going to probably shoot me back over to that other place,
Okay.
right? So now we're out of the family area and back to just the managed subscriptions area. So let me go into Disney Plus and just see what it tells me. See all the plans. Like we're doing a yearly plan, so we get a little bit of a discount because we're going to just pay for it annually. I'm not going to miss any Marvel movies. I'm not going to miss Andor. Right? I got to watch the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff.
She-Hulk.
Right? She-Hulk was amazing. It
It
was
was
so good.
amazing.
What do you think? There's going to be a Red Hulk one day? Come on, that's crazy talk. Okay.
Hey Siri, what does jMac fix?
jMac fixes everything.
Coming to you from the Owl's Nest Studios in Portland, Oregon, it's jMac Fixes Everything, where we answer your tech questions and discuss all things Apple. For valuable, actionable, real-world Apple advice that you can count on, look no further than jMac Fixes Everything. Now here's your hosts, Jamie Pollock and Audrey Isbell.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Jamie jMac Pollock with RoyalWise. Find us online at royalwise.com. This is another exciting episode of jMac Fixes Everything, and of course I have my co-pilot with me, Audrey Isbell. Hey Audrey,
Hey, everybody.
how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent. So we're moving on, having great conversations, giving some great tips and tricks. We've been doing a series called Making the Switch from Android to Apple. And Audrey has been kind of our test subject. She was the one switching from an Android phone to an Apple phone and an Apple Watch. We've had some great conversations about Apple Watches. I've got a topic I want to talk about today, which is subscriptions and payments and Apple ID stuff. Because I think that's a big part of being in the Apple universe, right? Being a member on the Apple universe end game team. There's some things you need to know. But of course, we're always going to check in on the emotional side. So we talked a little earlier, and what you said was, I use my phone for everything. I use it all the time now. So why don't you give us an update on where you're at, how you're feeling, and have there been any struggles?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling really good. I am using my Apple phone for everything and my Apple Watch as well. I'm kind of, still in the boat of wondering what did I do without this technology prior, right? Like, I mean, Android has a lot of cool features and things about it too, but there are certain things about the Apple Watch, about having the Apple phone with, just the way that it's put together that makes things convenient. And I think our topic today is actually really, really appropriate because I spent some of my time this week, calling up credit card company and saying, hey, what's this charge and what's going on? And so I'm really excited to dive into that.
Awesome. Yeah, to know what is Apple charging me? How do I find it? Where do I look it up? Right? That's pretty important. And I like also in the first couple episodes, one of the topics was like, what have I done? Like why did I do this? Because of the learning curve of the pushing the rock up the hill of learning. And now it's like, why did I do this so late? Why did I wait so long? So
Hindsight. It's always
Kind of,
2020 or so
kind
they
of a
say.
fun, the same question, but a little bit different. Any struggles? I mean, I know you said today's topic is good, but because last episode, I'm just going to kind of mention real quick one thing we talked about. I'd like to kind of refresh. We talked about how the Contacts app is like the brain of the phone, or it's like the centralized database of storing information, knowing that the phone is a communication tool, right? It's our what do they call them in Star Trek? Our communicators, right? So,
Mhm.
with it being our communicator, the Contacts is kind of the brain where we store the data so that we can make a phone call, we can get a text, we can, do whatever. And then those custom fields where we can even say so and so is so and so's spouse, and we can remember. And I don't think I mentioned this. I get great credit when somebody calls me that hasn't talked to me in 3 years, and I'm like, "Oh, how's Jim?" Because I know what their husband's name is, because I just put in anything I can, their dog's name, they play golf, whatever. I throw it in the notes, right? I put it in the notes of their contact card. I put their kids' names in if I can catch them. They're like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." And then like a year later, I'll be like, "Hey, how's your daughter Sarah?" They're like, "What do you remember, Sarah?" I don't have that good of a memory, but I get great credit for being able to pull those.
I might need to steal that trick as well. I mean, my memory is certainly not what it used to be, and so that's definitely a good tip for anybody else who is having that same problem.
I'm really not good with names. Names is not my thing. Good with faces, very personable when I'm with people, but remembering people's names, I'm just like, even friends. Even I haven't seen a friend in 5 years, and I'm like, what? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm kind of coming out coming out of the closet on my problem with names. But have there been any big bumps, or is there anything that's been stymieing?
I still struggle with my calendars app for some reason. I'm constantly kind of navigating between all the different calendars that I'm a part of, that's shared calendars and all that kind of stuff.
Have we talked? Have we had a conversation about
I don't think we
calendars?
have. I don't think we have,
No,
but
we've got a little time today. Let me go ahead and address something. Just again, your pain point. So let me talk about a couple of things that may help. First off, just understanding the calendar app. And this is what this is. I always say this is what I say in class. One of the problems with all the mobile technologies is that the words sometimes are used in so many different ways that they lose their meaning. And so we refer to like 5 different things. This is a calendar. That's a calendar. This is a calendar. And suddenly it's like, well, what's what? Like, what do I mean? Because there's an app called Calendar. And when you go into the app called Calendar, you're looking at what you refer to as your calendar. But we had a conversation in an earlier episode where we talked about different cloud technologies, because I've got a calendar or more than one calendar in my Google account. And I've got a calendar, actually 7 calendars in my iCloud account, right? And so I've got like my personal calendar, then I've got my work calendar. I've got my son's calendar, my daughter's calendar, my wife's work calendar, my wife's personal calendar. Now, our work calendars are in our Google accounts because that's what we use for our company. Our personal calendars are in our iCloud area and shared amongst the family. Right. And then we've got a Jamie and Alicia calendar. So if we want to actually go out on a date or have a nice dinner without the kids, but there's a Polecats family calendar in case we are bringing the kids. And then we've got the sharing, right? Because I don't really want the kids to see my work calendar. They don't need that. Or, maybe my personal calendar. So we have to like think about, well, if it's the whole family, I'm putting on the family calendar, and who can see that? The kids can see it. But if I put it on the Jamie and Alicia calendar, they can't see it. The kids haven't had that calendar shared with them, right?
Mhm.
One of the problems we ran into is my wife and business partner, Alicia, says the kids should be able to see our work calendar so they can tell, like, can we pick them up at this time? Or should they not call us because we're with a client? And the problem is my kids don't have dedicated Gmail accounts. And I had to remind her, those are Google calendars, and the kids aren't logged into Google accounts on their phones. Their phones only have iCloud accounts. Now, that's not really true because the public school gives them Gmail accounts, but I really don't want them to use those, because when they graduate and they're not in Portland Public School, they will have access to that Google account, and I don't want them to get attached to that either.
Mhm.
But, so
You
how
gotta
many
think through a
accounts, how many
lot.
clouds, and so this idea that, again, I can't share an iCloud calendar with just a Google user unless they've got an iCloud account. I can't share a Google calendar with an iCloud user if they don't have a Google account. Now, if everybody has an iCloud account and a Google account and a Yahoo account and a Exchange account and then we can do this kind of sharing across.
Mhm.
Now, what we do, what we use it for is color coding. Honestly, the main reason why we have so many calendars is so that I can color code and just open my phone and look and see, oh, Zip has D&D tonight, or Alicia's playing adult D&D in Hillsdale, right? Or my daughter has a
Well,
friend coming
D&D was
over.
last night for me. I mean, I don't know
Oh,
why we can't all get on the same page here.
well, playing the same games, playing the same game, and you all can. But and my calendar, I'm not going to bring it up because it's a little dizzying. The multiple colors, the layering,
Yep.
how many people are in, just our employees each have their own calendar, and it gets a little overwhelming. But when I pull it up in class as a demo, people are like, "Oh my God, like what is going on there?" Now, what app are you using? Are you using the Apple Calendar app?
I believe so.
Okay,
It was the one that came stock on the
one that
phone,
came stock on the phone. Okay, so I
front
will.
screen, and I
Yeah.
just kind of loaded that with the like Gmail accounts and iCloud
So
or
I'm okay.
iPhone
So
accounts,
honestly,
whatever.
when
Outlook.
even you said I loaded it with, and what that
Uh-huh.
really means is you went into settings and internet accounts and you logged into your different accounts. These are different cloud accounts, an iCloud account, a Google account, maybe two or three Google accounts. You can have more than one,
I do.
right?
I have like two of those, and I've got an
Right.
Outlook, and actually, I've got
hmm
4 Gmail accounts, I guess. I
You
don't
know,
know. It's something ridiculous.
even for this podcast, I now have askjmac.com as a domain. And so
Mhm.
you can send an email to jmac at askjmac.com. I didn't want to host it myself, so it's an exchange account that is with my with GoDaddy with my registrar.
Mhm.
Right. And so now I've got, another one, right? Because we also have askjmac at gmail.com. And by the way, anybody listening to the podcast or the webcast, you can send questions to either of those email addresses and, get into the podcast, get a question answered on air, or I'll respond back to you. But again, those have email accounts, they have calendars, they have contact lists. Every single one of these accounts has that possible. So one thing is I go and turn off those where I don't want calendars in this account. I don't want to use contacts in this account, right? The fewer the better. Having a default. My contacts are in iCloud and that's where they are, or my contacts are in Google and that's where they are. And either one's fine. It doesn't really matter as long as on all of your devices you have them turned on everywhere. We always talk about with you have a Windows machine, but an Apple phone now, so you can't really see your iCloud contacts on the computer easily. We talked about you could use the iCloud for Windows thing, but we don't. I don't trust it. I don't. I don't think it's working the way we like.
Uninstalled.
Right. Okay. But this is the crux of it that I think a lot of people occasionally miss, or like again, like I like to say the quiet things out loud so that it's in the front of our brain. When I open the Contacts app, I see all contacts from all accounts, Google, iCloud, Yahoo, all of them, right? But they can just be one master list of contacts, or I can look at them from this service, from that service, from this service. Same thing with the calendars. I open up the Calendar app, and any calendar that's turned on inside of internet accounts is now shown up. And down the left side, I can check them and uncheck them. So I can hide them from myself, or I can see them all if I want to, which helps simplify it. Like, which calendars am I looking at? Or people call me, my stuff's not syncing, my stuff's not showing up on the phone. Well, turn it back on, like check it. So it's not, you're not hiding it from yourself. People do that all the time. They're on contacts and they're inside what used to be called a group is now called a list. I'm going to go ahead and say that. iOS 13 changed the name to lists from groups. And honestly, before this operating system, we actually didn't have any way to manage groups on the iPhone. You had to do it on your laptop or desktop and let it sync over. This operating system now gave us a way to add people to a list, remove them from a list. These are mailing lists, right? These are so I can go in my mail and type in the name of the list and get all the emails at one time. But we're talking about calendar. So you open the calendar app and you see all the different services in the calendars. But one of the things that people don't always know is that you can use a third-party application and it will still just feed out of all the accounts you're logged into and internet accounts. So honestly, I don't like the Apple Calendar application on the phone. I don't like it. I don't think it works
Thank
very well.
you. Thank you for saying that.
Right? I don't work for Apple. My company is RoyalWise. I
And
own my
actually,
own
that
company.
totally blows my mind because you're the Apple guy,
Well,
like,
but
are you
I mean,
supposed to
even
say?
even though I make my money by supporting Apple products and explaining how they work, I'm allowed to give my honest opinion. I'm not owned by Apple. Apple doesn't have anything over me. I don't owe them anything except for the money for my equipment. And so I use a third-party calendar.
Are you
And
going to
there's
divulge what that third party calendar is?
my calendar is called WeekCal. Or
Okay.
Week Calendar, and a WEEK, not WEAK. That'd be a terrible name for an app. The Week Calendar,
Dude, that's so weak.
the non-strong calendar. I know. It's called Week Calendar, and the reason I like it is that it gives me in vertical view a week view. I can see all of my entire week in one vertical view. Where on the iPhone, you've got to tilt the phone this way to get to a 4-day
That view.
view, bring it back up to see the day. Right, and bring it back down. And then if your screen's locked, it won't even do it. So you have to know where the screen orientation lock is and turn that off so you can go here and then see more than one day at a time. When we go into the demo mode, maybe I will pull that up and just show you.
I'm totally changing after this session because
Well,
I've been
and so-
struggling with that calendar app for weeks.
And so that's what I'm going to give you permission to do. Yes, it's an Apple device. That doesn't mean Apple has the best product in every field of it, right? Alicia uses a calendar on her desktop machine called BusyCal, right? And she loves it, and she thinks it has some features that the normal one for email. Sometimes we use the email program called Spark. Because it does a better job of sorting, real emails from people, from promotional emails, from other things. Like Gmail does that, the social tab and the promotions tab. But honestly, if you use Apple Mail in one place and the website someplace else, you get confused because you're like, well, I see emails here in Apple Mail, but they're not on the website. Well, they're under one of the sorted tabs. And then I've actually 3 times in the last month turned those tabs off for people, gone into the Gmail settings and turned off the promotions tab, turned off the social tab because it's just too confusing for them. They're just like, I can't find my emails. It doesn't look the same. And then I keep thinking they're not current or they're not syncing or they're not, it's, whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you do have permission to use apps that aren't Apple apps on the Apple device if you find something that is superior.
Well, and I think this makes really good sense. And also I want to just point out that, I think I've been kind of hard-headed about this, kind of questioning, am I just still learning this? Right? Am I still learning my phone? Am I still learning the Apple technology, the way that Apple sets things up and does things?
So what you're talking
Right?
about is maybe it is an okay app and I don't know enough about it.
Right. And so I was stuck between that world of, no, I really just need to spend more time with it and adopt the software. But if it's crap software, people, let's just get rid of it.
Well, first off, I love to acknowledge when we have what we call an aha moment. That's what we've had is an aha. It's a come to Jesus moment here. But it's funny too because first you had an aha moment that wait it works that way, but now there's a come to Jesus moment where like I can use a different provider. It's like I'm not cheating on Apple, But what I want to I got her to laugh, yay. Is that both apps will work together, not together, excuse me, but in parallel.
Okay.
Putting a different app that accesses that data or that data set doesn't change the fact that you can still go into Apple Calendar and see everything in there. You can go into WeekCal and see everything in there. There's a company called Readle. Readdle. They make the Scanner Pro app on the phone, which is my favorite scanner. So I can scan documents. It's got an OCR, so optical character reading built into it. And anytime we scan documents, we use Scanner Pro by Readle.
I gotta back you up. OCR, you actually knew what that stood for.
Optical character recognition, optical character reading. It's the R.
Yeah.
I say.
Oh, you're one of my favorite nerds on the planet.
Yay! So anyway, there are third-party apps that do really, but Readle has a calendar app that people really like also. So let's do a little demo here real quick. And I know that the people that are on the podcast aren't going to see it. I'm going to tell anybody, if you're on the podcast, know that you can go to YouTube and watch this as a webcast. So if you want to see it, I'm going to talk through what I'm doing so you'll be able to tell what I'm up to. So you're not going to miss anything if you're on the podcast because I explain it pretty thoroughly. Okay, so I've shared my phone so it can be seen on the screen, and I'm going to basically swipe down for the spotlight search. That was my aha moment from an earlier episode. And then I'm going to type in calendar. And so there's the calendar right there. I'm going to open it up and show you, here's today. What's going on today? There's all the different stuff. But again, I'd have to turn it sideways to see the week. I'm not going to do that because that really messes with the guy editing my videos later. But you'll see the Week Cal app. It's on the left column, 3 down. And then when I open up Week Cal, I can look at it. Here's today. Looks just a little bit different, but I just kind of like it. I'm used to it. But now I can go to the week and really see the week. Now, I can't tell what the events say, but I, by color coding, can tell who needs to move where when, because I'm very in tune to whose is what's. Another thing I don't think people always realize is that you can just tap on any event, open it up, and move it from calendar to calendar. And I can even move it from Gmail to iCloud or from iCloud back to Gmail if I wanted to. Right, because you probably have a default calendar set up, and that's where your events go to first, and then you change it to the calendar you want it to be on. Does that help you?
That helps me a lot. I think another question, I guess, as a follow-up would be like, does the WeekCal app have a default view that when you open it up each time, it goes back to that default view, or is it kind of like continuing where you left off?
It normally stays where you left off. I'm not sure. I like it that way, so I haven't even looked any deeper.
Mm-hmm.
This
I'm
app
definitely looking for an app that's going to go back to the original view.
Yeah, that's called persistence. And,
okay.
even it's funny. We didn't see a lot of that on the phone until the camera did it, where you could tell the camera, it was like every time I open the camera, I want to be on a photo. But it used to always stick if you did a video and closed it, it would come back to video. And then people had these 3-second video clips because they thought they were taking a picture when they weren't, over and over and over. And in settings under camera, you can now turn on persistence or turn it off. And you can decide, I want it to always open to the photo, or I want it to go back to where it was. I want to go back where it last thing I did, which I don't like that much. I don't like the go back to where I was thing because I don't remember what I did last time sometimes.
Right. Me too.
Okay, with calendaring though, is the idea that you can use a third-party app and that you just need to find a better tool? You think that's the solve?
I think that's the solve.
Okay,
truly.
good.
Yeah, because I kind of deep dived the settings a little bit. I was, moving between calendars. I was getting frustrated because it wasn't persistent,
Yeah. So maybe try some third-party apps. I'll look into WeekCal and see. By the way, just to warn you, there is a WeekCal Pro. They're trying to sell a subscription so you can have like their holiday calendar and all that. I'm not buying into that. I paid the 99 cents or the $2.99 for the app itself because I like it. I think Alicia does subscribe and pays some annual fee to have some extra features that I just am not worried about. But just know that that's out there. And it leads in very nicely to the next conversation that we're going to have, is that I bought this app and now they want me to subscribe. They want me to be a subscriber to the app. They want me to go pro. And
Is
now
this a good time to mention that you should also like and subscribe?
Oh, hey, if you're listening to this, if you're on YouTube or if you're out on Facebook, who knows what. But yeah, like this podcast, like this webcast, subscribe on YouTube. Ring the bell. That's what they say on YouTube. We get notifications when we put new episodes out. But the question, and this came up in my happy hour last month, why I wanted to bring it to you to see what you knew about it or what you didn't know about it, is really what money is Apple charging me? How can I tell, and how do subscriptions kind of work? A little subscription 101. And then when I mentioned this was going to be my topic today, you said something earlier. Go ahead and tell us again.
Oh, I don't even remember now. This is that memory problem I was telling you about.
You said that you had to call your credit card company because you weren't sure what a charge was.
Well, right. So I think the thing where it interfaces with Apple, okay, to use more technology terms, is that sometimes you're in like the App Store and you're just kind of like you're deep in, or you're playing a game, and you're hitting buttons.
And do you want to buy some coins?
Totally, and talk about persistence. But the reality is like
That's
I don't want to
persistent. That's persistent, not persistence. But I like what you tried.
You know what I'm saying. You can translate. You know me. But
That's
I don't
awesome.
want to get like too far into the app zones of things and be subscribed to a gajillion different services that now I don't really know how much money I'm spending. And,
Yes.
I'm having to cancel. Like that is not ideal.
So let me start with just some description, some subscription one, some subscription description. I almost couldn't say that. Just basic understanding of how it works on the phone, and then we're going to kind of deep dive into a couple of examples that are Apple subscriptions, and then we're going to get outside the box and talk about non-Apple subscriptions because that's a confusing element of this too. One of the things about the iPhone that makes it very unique is that you're logged in with your Apple ID and you put a credit card payment method with your Apple ID, and that is your one way to pay for anything and everything that comes up on your phone. Apple doesn't let you have many other payment gateways. I mean, you could get a Venmo and pass money around, or if you're on a website, you can put a credit card in. Or things like that. Granted, they offer Apple Pay, so you could pay through websites with Apple Pay if you wanted to. But if you're in the App Store or the iTunes Store, it's gonna say get, which means it's free, but you still have to put your password in because you're getting a free digital license. You still have to license free things, right? Or you pay the 99 cents or the $2.99, and it says it right there on the button. You tap it once, and then you tap on the price, and then it gives you a second tap, and then you have to do either the password or the Face ID or the Touch ID to approve that you're you. But you can't go to the App Store and pay any other way. That's the only way. And we even just, a big thing kind of has been happening because Fortnite got kicked out of the Apple App Store a couple years ago because Fortnite wanted to not use Apple's system. Apple takes, I don't know, 30-40% of everything. And people feel like it's an antitrust issue that Apple's, if it's in the App Store, Apple needs their cut of it. And some developers don't love that. They're not happy that they have to give Apple such a big chunk. But they don't have any choice. If they want it to be available on this platform, that's their only option. And antitrust or anti-government people don't like not having options. Right? Options are something that we like to have. And so the fact that you're locked in, now there's a benefit to this. One of the benefits is that everything that you do on your phone is going to show up on one credit card as one list. And you're not going to be like, well, which card did I use? Which account did it go to? It doesn't matter, right? And that comes down to if you're going to use Apple Pay in your Apple Wallet, you're going to put a credit card in there. Is it the same credit card you're using for your iCloud iTunes payments? I don't know. You could have two different ones. You could have multiple credit cards in your wallet under your Apple Pay area. But the really nice thing is if you're using Apple Pay all the time, then everything you buy is on that one credit card, right? Everything on your phone is on that one credit card. Now, I'm going to mention third-party subscriptions really quick because this is not necessarily commonly known. But yes, you can subscribe to Disney Plus through Apple. You can subscribe to Paramount Plus through Apple, right? You can do your Netflix subscription through Apple. Now, you still have to have a login for the Netflix, right? A login for Hulu, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can have the payment. If you buy the subscription through your Apple device, it'll show up in your Apple subscriptions list, and the payment will come off of whatever credit card you have there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes good sense.
But also you don't have to do it that way. We had Netflix long before this was available, so we have a Netflix account and we pay Netflix directly for that subscription. I can look at it on my phone through the Netflix app, but I'm not paying for the subscription through Apple's subscription process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about what does Apple offer that we can subscribe to. Okay. Let's back off first. Let's go back into demo mode. Now, let me ask, do you have any questions right now for like what I've explained so far?
No, I think that's all pretty straightforward. Part of it for me is like still gaining experience using payment systems with my Apple device, right? Like I have loaded cards onto my Apple Pay, but I haven't yet used Apple Pay.
Okay. Do you understand what it is and or why there's a benefit to it?
I think we've covered it before, but I don't remember all of the benefits.
We have talked about it one time, but again, I don't mind mentioning it again because it's on topic. One of the things about Apple Pay that I don't think people realize is that it keeps you safe because the vendor you're paying doesn't get your name, your credit card number, or any personal information. If you pay anybody in this world, whether it's physically using Apple Pay, using your phone, on a website using Apple Pay, it doesn't matter. That vendor is getting a randomly generated number from Apple guaranteeing them payment, and they're not getting your name. They're not getting your billing address. They're not getting your credit card number.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right, where if you go to, and I like, you remember how Target and Home Depot got hacked a couple years ago and they stole like 5 million credit cards from Target or Home Depot?
Yeah, I think
Their
I do.
database system got hacked and they stole credit card information for like 5 million people. Well, if you used Apple Pay at Target, they wouldn't have your credit card number,
Right.
right? And so the question really comes down to, do you want everybody in this world to have your credit card number, or do you just want Apple to?
Mhm.
Right. And it reduces your risk because Apple's the only company that has the actual credit card number and everybody else just gets promised payment from Apple.
Mhm.
Right. And then you don't have to even worry about it. They want to negotiate the payment. That's between them and Apple. That's not even going to come back to you that same way. Where if I'm at Home Depot and I swipe my credit card, now it's between me and Home Depot directly.
Mhm.
Right. So there's a little bit of isolation, little insulation, excuse me, isolation, insulation, kind of the same.
Coming out of
Subscription
COVID.
description, right? And then also everything's on one card, so you just get one statement and you can really just tell everything's there,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
All right, let's dive in and look at some stuff. And hopefully I don't give away everybody my personal information while we're doing this here today. But you never know what's going to happen. Oh, you know what? My phone's already here. There we go. Silly Jamie. Okay, I'm on my iPhone. By the way, I put a short out doing a demo, and somebody saw that number on my email and said I should probably clean up my email of the 18,710 unread messages. I'm going to let everybody know I mass delete, and maybe I'll do that again later. I'll show a demo on how to mass delete email out of Gmail. Okay. Heading into the settings app, at the very top is my name, James Pollock. I'm going to go into there. And right here we have the payment and shipping area. And if I come in here, it says Visa. This is going to be my payment information. And I need Face ID to get in there. Right now, there's the last 4 digits of my card. I can add payment information here. But this is where I need to come and see what credit card is on file for me when I'm making payments from Apple. This is the one. Now, the complication I'm going to mention here real quick is the idea that if you are in a family share situation, if you have a family share, then the head of the household's credit card is the one that everybody's going to use. And so if you are not the head of the household and doing a family share situation, my children, when they make a purchase on their iPhones, it's going to come up to me and come off of my credit card because I'm the head of the household. So in that case, we're going to go back up a level. Oh, wait, and go here to family. Right, and here we see everybody in my family, their age, whether they're an adult or not an adult, a guardian, not a guardian, and then the organizer, that's me. And so everybody's charges come off my card. And this is subscriptions, this is app purchases, this is buying songs in Apple Music, renting movies, everything. The nice thing about the families is that, notice here's a subscription area. You can share your subscriptions amongst up to 6 people. So I subscribe to Paramount Plus. All 4 of my family members can access it because we share the subscription. So here's a list of the subscriptions that I have attached to my Apple account that is shared with my family. Right? Paramount Plus, Showtime, Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, a bunch of different things. Also, I got to figure out, why do we have 2 Paramount Pluses and are we getting double charged? That shouldn't be the case. So I'm going to go back up a level and let's check and see what the real situation is. Now, that's inside of the family share area. Let me go back up a level, go back into my Apple ID and say, here's the subscriptions area. And so now we actually see a list of what we're subscribed to and the dollar amounts attached. Do I want to share with my family? Do I want to see renewal receipts? All those sorts of things. Okay, so this is where we need to know where to go to see specifically what is Apple responsible for, what subscriptions are coming off of my credit card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm wondering too, can you segregate any of this? Like, can you see what your subscriptions are that are not shared with family as opposed to ones that are shared with family?
We did that just a minute ago when I was back up a level, up two
But
levels, and I went into family.
with the dollar amounts and everything?
Not here. This will tell what subscriptions I'm sharing with the family.
Gotcha.
And who is it shared by? Shared by me, shared by me.
Hmm.
Right? Shared by you, per se. I can come here and say manage subscriptions, and then it's going to probably shoot me back over to that other place.
Okay.
Right? So now we're out of the family area and back to just the managed subscriptions area. So let me go into Disney Plus and just see what it tells me. See all the plans. Like, we're doing a yearly plan, so we get a little bit of a discount because we're going to just pay for it annually. I'm not going to miss any Marvel movies. I'm not going to miss Andor. Right? I got to watch the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff.
She-Hulk.
Right? She-Hulk was amazing.
It was
so good.
amazing.
What do you think? There's going to be a Red Hulk one day? Come on, that's crazy talk. Okay. So this shows you even like Evernote, right? I use Evernote to do some notes. Live Fish. I'm a big Fish fan, and I can listen to the Fish recordings the next day after they have a live concert. I can just get them the next day. Mile IQ. And you can tell like $9.99 is obviously a monthly payment, where the $60 is an annual payment. Right. And so you kind of got to watch out for that. Am I paying monthly? Am I paying annually? So when you come here, your eyes don't pop out of your head on how much money, you're paying for that. Even up here is Crunchyroll. That's my son's anime channel. And so I went ahead and got him Crunchyroll because he loves anime and wants to see all of it. So now let's talk about Apple subscriptions. What does Apple provide or make available to you? Now, I've got the Apple One subscription, and this is something that just came out about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, where they can bundle all the Apple subscriptions, and you can pay one monthly price and get all of them at one time. So let's go in here and just kind of get educated on what our options are. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say see all plans real quick. So here's the Apple One. So these are the subscriptions Apple allows you to have. Apple Music subscription. That opens up the entire iTunes library. You pay a little bit a month, and you can listen to any song, any album. You can download it and carry it around with you as long as you're paying your subscription. The Apple TV subscription. This is Apple TV Plus. You will watch this in the TV app. But you can have the TV app on an Apple TV that's connected to your television set. Or I believe there's the TV app is on the Roku now, and the Fire Stick, and a couple other places too. Apple Arcade is a monthly subscription where you get specifically video games developed for Apple that aren't available outside of the Apple Arcade area. And then the iCloud symbol there basically just means premium iCloud storage, and what is now called iCloud Plus, which just gives you a couple of extra things like being able to hide your email and reroute your internet traffic. It's kind of weird. But notice I've got $16.95 monthly for an individual, $22.95 for a family. So again, if I've got a family of 4, or specifically a family of 6, what a discount. Compared to $17 a person, I'm paying $23, and everybody gets all of these things. Now, we went premium, and that's because what premium adds is News Plus and the Fitness Plus. And so for Apple Watch, Fitness Plus is pretty cool, where you can go on your iPad or your iPhone or your Apple TV and actually do workouts. I've been doing the kickboxing workouts. I've been really enjoying the kickboxing, meditation, mindful cool downs. There's HIIT, there's dance, there's a bunch of different stuff in there, yoga and things like that. All the LA folks do the teaching. But it's funny. I'm going to bring up News Plus real quick, and it's funny because this is the reason this conversation even came up in happy hours, because I use the News app, and I was in there, and I was like, hey everybody, let me go to the News app and talk about Apple News real quick. So I went into the News app, and somebody goes, well, you can't use that without a subscription, right? And I was like, no, you can go in the News app and read the news and tell it, what channels you like to follow, where you like to get your news. And it curates it for you. It even you like this kind of article, we'll try to bring you more of this sort of thing. The only thing that's a subscription in here is the News Plus tab, which is this one right here. And News Plus just gives you access to magazines, right? And so there are digital magazines that are very, very beautiful, full color, specifically designed to be read on the phone screen, right? But the News Plus subscription doesn't give you access to more news or different news or better news or anything like that. It just gives you access to magazine subscriptions. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I mean, I think that that's really cool. And especially like, you kind of wonder what's possible with magazines these days, right?
Well, how are they not going to disappear, right?
Right,
You
right.
know, and this is what Apple has provided for magazines is let's make a very beautiful colored digital version and let people use that, right? So again, there's the news app. Now, again, I could go and see any of these individuals, so choose individual services. And so there's our pricing.
Okay.
$16.99 for a family Apple Music, $6.99 for Apple TV, $4.99 for arcade, $9.99 for storage, so we can have 2 terabytes of iCloud storage, $9.99 for News Plus, $9.99 for Fitness Plus. So when I add all of those up, multiplied by the 3 or 4 people that use it, I'm getting a decent deal at $33 a month.
For sure. And well, if
For
you look at
all of this
that
stuff.
music app too, if you were just looking to do the music app, you'd still be better off to do the individual group because you still get more.
To do the family style, to get
Yeah.
Apple Music as a family,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And that's called the Apple One. I'm using the premier version of Apple One. But again, there are other plans if you're not in a family or if you don't want news and fitness, then you don't have to go to the premier level.
Awesome.
And so there's a quick rundown of what are Apple subscriptions, right?
Hmm.
What on the phone could I put money into? And where do I go to find out what I'm subscribed to? Now, the nice thing here let me go back to my subscriptions. I apologize. And I just want to make sure this is clear. So if I go to Crunchyroll because my son's done using it, there's my cancel subscription button. How do I get out of it? Right? That's an important, how do I,
Yep. I want to
anything,
stop spending money, please.
if I download Crunchyroll and it says there's an in-app purchase, that purchases their subscription. How do I get out of it? Well, not in the app. The app doesn't give you an option to do that. You got to go to settings and subscriptions. The other thing I want to be very clear about is this subscription has already been paid up through February 5th. So if I
Okay. Yep.
cancel the subscription, the service does not disappear from me today, right? It will not renew on February 5th, but let me go to one of the other examples, Disney Plus. I've paid for Disney Plus through December 15th. I could cancel it this very second, and I would still have Disney Plus through December 15th because I've already paid for a year of service. So even if you have a subscription, you don't have to be like, oh, wait a minute, I have to wait till December to cancel it. No, you don't. You can cancel it anytime you
So,
want to, and
question.
it'll just expire on the next renewal date.
Okay. So
I
if
like a good
you
question.
clicked that cancel subscription button right now,
Mm-hmm.
would your Disney Plus stay as a
I
I
would
don't
still
know,
have an account.
card? Well,
What's
I was
that?
just thinking, would it stay as a card under your subscriptions until it was
Yeah,
gone?
yeah,
It would, and it
yeah.
would just
It
be
would stay here. Yeah, it will
okay.
say expires on this date instead of
Perfect.
renews on this date. It'll say expires on this date.
Okay,
Right.
that's
And I don't know
helpful.
if it's still here, but there used to be. I don't see it. I don't. I think I've just not canceled any subscriptions lately. There used to be an inactive subscriptions area or a canceled subscriptions area, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Now, the next challenging thing, and this might even be a little challenge for me because I normally do this on my computer, but honestly, it's easier on the phone. But this one's really tricky, which is what you said. I need to call the credit card company to see what this charge was.
Hmm.
Because you notice I just showed you what I'm subscribed to and when it expires or renews, but I don't see that I rented a movie. Like, where's my purchase history?
Right.
Where this whole conversation is about how's Apple taking my money? Where's my money going and what are they charging me for?
Right.
Funny enough, this one's a little bit more hidden because I have to actually go into the iTunes store or possibly the App Store. The App Store might have it too. We'll check there in a minute. So this purchased right here is not what we're looking for, right? This purchased here is just a list of songs and albums I've purchased. It used to be at the very bottom of the page, and let's see if it's still here. So I went to the very bottom, I tapped on Apple ID, and I'm going to say View Apple ID. And now I'm in what's called Account Settings. And let's see if this is where I'm finding what I'm thinking. There's purchase history right there, right? And it's a
Yep.
little bit hidden. It's not easy to find, right?
Is that on purpose?
I don't know. I don't. Sometimes one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing, or the people that do the App Store don't talk to people who do the iTunes Store. I don't know. Right, but this is a really interesting area, which is the Apple ID account settings area, where I can see, well, what is my family sharing situation, right? Oh, I am a part of a family share, right? Let me go back to where were we? Purchase history here. Oh, I went into purchase history, so now it's going to actually load my purchase history. But here's the last 90 days of my activity, right? So I installed the Resi app, but they didn't charge me anything, right? I did get charged for my Paramount Plus and Showtime. I did download Sonic Racing from Apple Arcade, but it was free. My Premiere Apple One did renew. Right. Now this is my purchase history, and it may or may not have my family stuff in here.
I gotta say, I love how they still give you what cost you $0, right? It's still your history.
Well, it's a digital license. You did buy a digital license, and it is now licensed to you, and it just happened to cost you nothing.
It's very cool.
Right, but this is a better place. Now, another thing I have to do is look at emails, because if Alicia bought it, I get an email notification of their purchase. Or if my kids buy something, I get an email notification of their purchase. For my kids, even the really cool part of having a family share and letting the family share know that they're underage is they can't buy anything without approval. So they'll hit the buy button. It'll say, I'm going to ask permission. I will get a pop-up and approve or deny their request. And if I approve it, then they can download the app. Then they can
smart.
do the whatever. Now I'm going to get out of hit done here, and I just want to remind you that I went to the iTunes store to find that. I'm going to check the App Store too. I'm almost positive that it still works this way. So I'm going to go to the App Store, and I'm going to tap in the top right corner where I see my little face, and let's see if it's here or not. It is not here. So what I need to do is, again, go back to the main page and scroll all the way to the bottom. But see, this one doesn't work that way because there's no bottom to this. This is going to just keep me scrolling and scrolling. Where it used to be, you'd get to the bottom and see the little Apple ID button, right? So they're not making it easy here to find that same area. Let me come back here and just make sure I didn't miss it here. Now there's a link to my subscription, so I can see that. Update a lot of apps to update. And then a sign out button at the bottom, right? So it's the iTunes Store is the only place I know of to quickly get to what we're looking for. And I'm going to demo it real quick again, just because I want to make sure people see this, is I've gone to the iTunes Store and I just scroll to the very bottom of any of the pages and hit where it says Apple ID. And then I say View Apple ID, and then I can come down and find purchase history. The reason I know where this is, okay, I mean, of course, I'm an expert and I've known where it is forever, but it used to be that if you were in Music app or the iTunes Store on your computer, it would be right there. It would be easily accessible. You could just say account and then purchase history in iTunes. They've moved it, and now you actually have to go into the iTunes Store and find the account link. Right. So
Yeah.
this is one of the few things I feel like Apple really hasn't solved for us or fixed for us is making purchase history a little bit easier to find.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if it's just Apple. I think a lot of vendors do it. They do make that a little bit more difficult, right? So,
it's hard to
could be a
tell what the benefit is for them for you to have more information sometimes.
But they're probably just adopting a little bit of Mandalorian speak. I mean, this might be the way.
I saw a pretty good question in a meme about, as advanced as the technology is in the Star Wars universe, why is the money big, thick heavy that you can hear hit the table. You know what I mean? Like that's currency. Like that's currency in the future. That's crazy.
Yeah, because that is tangible. That can be tracked.
Yeah. Okay, so we did a deep dive into Apple ID payment method, a little bit about Apple Wallet, and then subscriptions. Like, you know, what can we subscribe to and how can we control them? Where are our controls? And we wound it up with purchase history, which is a little bit of a mystery, but we found it. Yay!
Yay!
Do you have any questions or comments about the? Again, this is, and it's funny. The purchase history is like we looked into a really dark corner of the Apple universe, right? It's almost like we were out on Tatooine, right? Like
Totally.
we are in the outer limits of the Apple universe, peeking into the cobwebby, shadowy corners of the Apple universe.
Yeah. Well, it definitely feels like that sometimes. And even just navigation still feels a little bit weird to me. You know, that's why I'm asking questions about, well, wait, how do we, differentiate between, and how do we get to see this other thing? And, oh, but we've already seen it. And it feels like I'm kind of like cycling and then being returned to things when I navigate. So I don't know if that's something I'll get used to or just what, but
Well, it's funny, the persistence conversation that we had before, where I swipe up and I'm out of the app and I'm back to my home screen. But if I go back to the app, I'm where I was. So the apps are persistent, right? They're normally sitting there waiting for you. And occasionally it's a little scary. Something will come up and you're like, wait, I'm not at the beginning of the path.
How did I get here?
I'm on level 3. How did I get to level 3 when I want to start at level 1 every time? But we'll dig deeper into that kind of stuff. But hopefully for anybody watching or listening, again, it really kind of uncovers some of those finer points that may not be obvious. Everybody's like, oh, it's just obvious, or it's just intuitive, or it's just whatever.
Nah.
I don't know that it is. I think, having a guide along the path, so Grogu can learn how to be an Apple Universe Mandalorian.
That's right.
Okay, with that, I want to thank anybody and everybody who spent the time with us here for jMac Fixes Everything. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, yay, tell all your friends, subscribe and download every time you can. And if you want to, go to YouTube and watch the webcast. These are video cast. We upload those to YouTube, and if you want to see the demos and the examples, feel free to go to YouTube and check those out. With that, I'm Jamie jMac Pollock from Royal Wise. This is Audrey Isbell. And we want to thank you for spending the time.
Thanks, guys.